is what's called the STE3. This is only relevant to you if you shoot Canon, otherwise whatever it is for your system. It's a radio transmitter that allows us to have TTL off camera. My flash has a built-in receiver for it, so I just turn my flash into that mode. Just tell me when, Seth, and I'll. All right, so now it's in slave mode. I'm on channel 1. I can see a little green light. That means it's working. Right, now I can actually take the flash. And now you might use a flash that uses line of sight TTL. If it does, like let's say the older Canon models, this is the receptor. So you want to make sure this is facing your other flashes so you can see it. And Nikon's on the side, there's like a little dot there. So it's radio, I can put the thing in my pocket, it'll work. All right, so I can move my flash wherever I want. If I want to go like this. She's a little nervous that I'm putting the flashlight close to her. I would be nervous too, yeah. Right. Right, so she looks a little nervous. It's a smidge hot, again, because now it's closer to her. You can see now, you still have the hard light, right? Extreme drop off, right? But I can control the edge. Obviously, I'm not gonna do that because she probably doesn't want that light on her, probably, right? I mean, not if I want to have that client again. But what else do we notice about this? Let's take a quick look here. Right? What else is different? The background is different, that's right. The background in the second shot is really, really dark. Why is that? That's right, the position of the light. It's much closer to her, which means using the inverse square law, right? The distance to here to there is much greater, but also it's also pointed this direction, so it's not really touching the background. So what's happening here is it's lighting her up. The background's not getting any light, which also is the reason why it's a bit dark. Anytime I'm doing something like this, like that, I know that I'm probably gonna have to compensate because it's trying to light this whole space because I have a nice wide shot. If I had punched in close to her, it wouldn't do that. But anyways, so we've got it set up now in slave mode, in TTL, but again, the small light source still, even that close is not gonna be that flattering. So I have here a Lastalite EasyBox Speedlight 2. Apparently they ran out of Speedlight 1. Oh, bless you. Oh, that's all right. Are we live? Just let me know when. Oh, we're live. Okay, we're live. So thanks for joining us. We had a little technical difficulties. There was a lot of customers that were being inappropriate, so we had to not have the live streams. But we're up here if you're watching online. So now I'm inside the box. One thing that you should keep in mind too, when the flash is off the camera, by default, it automatically zooms the head of the flash, which I'll explain in a second, to the widest setting. So one of the cool things about these small flashes is that inside of here, there's like a little zoom, right? So whatever you set your lens on, the flash itself will zoom to give you optimal coverage, right? If I'm using a 200 mm lens from here and I'm just getting your face, the flash knows that. It zooms in so it doesn't waste all the light lighting up the whole space. It's just lighting what's in front of it. When you take it off the camera, it doesn't really know that, so it goes the widest setting. To make it even wider, you can pull down this wide angle diffuser, I guess is what they call it, in the front. That spreads the light out. And in fact, my flash now changed to say 14 millimeters from 24. Why am I doing that? A little tiny box here, and I want to make sure I cover the whole front of it to make it as even as possible. So I want the widest coverage. A lot of flashes come with a little looks like a little soap dish, a little plastic soap dish. You could also throw that on there. They don't trust me with those anymore because I put them in my pocket and walk away, so Adorama no longer gives me one of those, so you'll just have to see it without it. That's not true. Yes, it is. All right, so Speedlight 2, EasyBox, bigger surface area. Still not, well, almost the same size as her head. Still not going to be super soft. If anybody ever asks you how big your head is, you can say the size of an EasyBox 2.
Awesome. It is in the shot.
Right, so now we've got the light closer. It's a bit of a softer light. You can actually see it's more gentle across her skin even. You can see the softer edge here. Oh, did you adjust it?
Yeah, on here.
Oh, Dave's making adjustments over there. It's pretty cool. What's that? Oh yeah, I got a shot. Oh, sorry, yeah, because we had to. If Christopher and I is watching, cup holder. Thank you. Dave stole it. I'm just gonna say that.
I mean, it's your tripod.
We did do it is my tripod, so technically he didn't steal it. He's just using the thing. We are going to use this later because there's this whole. I can't tell the whole story again because Seth will get angry. We're not supposed to talk. Our counselor told us not to talk about it. All right. All right, so now I'm centering the light on her, which is generally a better angle for it. Right, and it's just going to give us a little bit nicer of an angle. Central light can be nice across the face. It is a bit soft. It's not super soft again because the size, right? But we're getting a nicer light. We're getting a dark background because of the proximity. And maybe we'd want to like throw this card in here. We could bounce it. Oh, she's even going to hold it. It's really nice. I'm going to put drinks on it. Right, and we can just bounce that in to kind of fill in the shadows a little bit. Depending on your angle, you can fill it in more or less. You know, we can bounce it in more or less, but you can see it's working. Cool. Questions about that? No? Where do you find the person to hold the flash? I usually just hand it to somebody. Hey, hold this, you know, and they hold it. You can also put it on a stand, which is probably a simpler way if you're going to do a lot of portraits. They do make a thing called a umbrella adapter. Well, that's what I call it anyways. And the reason why I call it that is because it's made to hold an umbrella in here, your flash on top, and it goes into a light stand. So I'm going to put my flash on here. This now allows us to put it on a light stand. You can get a little tiny light stand to put it on if you want. We have C-stands here. This is probably overkill for a small flash, but it's what we have. And now, if you're by yourself, you can definitely set this up.
Can you reiterate if you're a manual TTL, please?
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to do a little review because we had an issue with the live stream. So this way, you guys, if you were taking notes, you can make sure I say the same thing twice because we're not sure, right? I'll check the notes. So right now, we're working in a system called TTL, meaning through the lens, right? It's a metering system that uses our camera's meter to control the flash. Every time we press down the shutter button, the TTL sends what's called a pre-flash. It meters, uses the camera's meter, tells the flash how much power to put out, and it gives you the proper exposure. Every time we do that, it does that. If you were in manual flash, right? Manual flash will always be the same setting. So let's say I set my flash at 1/8 power. No matter what happens, if I move the camera, if I move my subject, if I move the flash up and down around, it will always give the same amount of power, which could change the exposure on my subject. Right? So TTL is really great if you're going to be moving the flash around a lot, especially if the flash is on the camera. Manual can be very useful when you know nothing's going to change and you just want to have exacting every time. All right, so we're going to bring the flash in overhead. And again, just because you missed the beginning, we've set up our camera in such a way to eliminate all the available light in the space, right? So when we make a frame without the flash, we get a black frame, right? This is some of the power of flash, right? It's allowing us to take over our space, to basically eliminate all the available light, so we're only working with flash. The other way to work with flash, especially small flash, is to mix the light together, and we're going to do that in a second.
You want to put this butterfly?
Yeah, let's do it, but actually let's just do it this way. Let's just jump to that stage.
While he's doing that, would you want to go through the images you shot and kind of talk about for a second?
Sure, I'll go through the images because again, some people may have missed the beginning. All right, so we're here at the beginning. This is the black frame. We're set at f8. We're set at 250th. We're set at 100 ISO. And again, the way I determine that is it's always going to be the lowest ISO. It's always going to be the fastest shutter speed that you can sync with flash. Somebody's saying, what about high speed sync? Well, that's advanced. We do that at the end. So, and then the third factor, your aperture is going to be whatever you need to get the space dark. In our case, f8 is what we chose. This is now on-camera flash. Same settings with the flash on the camera. Flash gives us the proper exposure, the exposure it thinks is proper. We thought it was a little bit hot, so I made more of an extreme adjustment to show you guys the difference. This is now one stop under. Hey TTL, give me a little bit less light. One stop in this case. That's for some reason a terrible picture of me. Now we're bouncing the flash off the ceiling, right? That's one of the things people always mention to me, oh, bounce the flash off the ceiling. I think it used to be in like a little card that you got with your flash back in like the 70s. If you're close to somebody and the ceiling is high, you're going to get this look, which is not exactly the most appealing look in the world, right? The light is coming from too much from above.
Makes me look a little scared.
Yeah. Right there, I've now taken the flash off camera. No, I'm sorry, this is not what we did. See, good thing you guys are paying attention. Here, I made my own ceiling. Whoever said that, thank you, so you have the notes. Here, I took this white card that Seth so conveniently sold to me for $350, and I put it right here. I bounced the flash, right? That created a softer light source, gave me more direction, gave me a little more power, looked a little bit nice, right? Now we took the card and put it to the side, bounced the flash, boom, light, right? We're controlling our direction of our light. Now I took the flash off the camera. To illustrate that, to really have the shaping power, we want to have the flash off camera. This is just a head off camera. You can see that it makes her a little bit scared because it was really close to her. This is underexposed a bit because we made an adjustment, but this is now with the little softbox. This is with the softbox centered, the little baby softbox. And then this is where we are now. This is basically softbox centered with me holding it with reflector card underneath filling in, creating kind of a nice look. Okay, so what happened to the flash?
Where we go?
Yeah, we're gonna now mix the light. I wanna mix some ambient light. So let's go a different direction. Let's say, for instance, we're in Adorama. I mean, that happens, right? Sometimes you're in Adorama. And you wanna showcase that you're in Adorama. Maybe this is the CEO of Adorama, you're making a portrait, you wanna kind of show the space a little bit. So instead of going the fastest shutter speed, the lowest ISO, and f8, in this case, to get the room dark, we want to actually bring some of the room into the shot. The first thing you want to do in those cases is you want to find a position. We talked about this in the beginning, looking for, if you're working with any ambient light, you want to find a decent place to put the person. So let's say we put her here. I'm going to have you here, I think. Can we do that? So I'm going to have you here.
Okay.
Yep. Right. So with the back to the, yeah, no. Face that way, yeah. Yeah. I'm going to put a sticker on your back. Right? I picked the spot. Why? Because we could make fun of her when she's not looking at us. No, I picked this spot because I see some light coming in this direction. I'm going to use it as like a hair light, right? I'm utilizing what's there, right? These happen to be professional lights that are in sales. I'm cheating a little bit, but you know, this is what's here. You may find yourself in Adorama, and then there you go. What we're going to do is, just like before, we're going to set up the camera. Oh yeah, China ball out there. Perfect. Just like before, we're going to set up the camera with no flash first. We want to establish the exposure for the space. What exposure? Depends on what you want it to look like. We're going to play around a little bit, right? We're going to basically turn off our flash. I mean, we'll probably leave the ISO at 100, I think. And we'll open up the lens more, maybe, because we obviously don't want, as pretty as you guys are, we probably don't want you super sharp back there. So maybe we'll open the lens all the way up to 2.8. Because, you know, we paid a lot of money for this lens. Every once in a while, you have to use it at 2.8. Yeah, this is 7-200. Yeah, so no, 2470. So that goes 2.8, right? So we can do 2.8. We can do 100 ISO. Those things can be fixed now, and then basically we can adjust our shutter speed until we get to an exposure that we like for the store. Again, I'm only concerned about the store right now. I'll also note this. Right now, we are in probably flash white balance because we're using a flash. The store is warm in tone. It's got a mix of tungsten light and some fluorescence, so it's going to look warm and glowy. If you like that, well, then you're in luck, because basically you've already got that, right? We can even see it on her hair. Okay, so do we want the background to be a little brighter than that? Maybe. So let's go a little bit brighter, and we can do that now by using, what's that, a third? That's a 30th of a second? So we can go to maybe like a 15th, just to bring it up a little bit. Or we could raise our ISO, you know, depending on what you're doing. Some people would raise their ISO. It depends on who you're photographing, okay, so you can see we're getting some spill on her face, though. So we got to figure out what we like best. I think that's going to be okay. Yeah, let's go to a 20th to see. We don't want our face to be too lit up because that means that we won't have any room to adjust the shadows later. We talked about that earlier. That looks pretty good. So let's say we like that as a background, right? Oh, this looks great. Now we bring our flash in. And again, because we have TTL, the flash should just give us the right exposure. It should give us the 2.8 and give us basically nice, even, or you know, whatever punchy light with the small softbox across her face. Now, while Dave's setting that up, I'll answer the question that you probably have, which is, what if I don't like it warm back there? Come on, Daniel, I like to have proper color balance. Well, in order to do that, what we would need to do is figure out the white balance of the store, right? And then we would put color correcting gels on our flash. Most small flashes come with some. You probably want to put like an orange gel on here to compensate, which would then make our flash orange, and then we would use the white balance on the camera to subtract all the orange, right? You probably need like a 3/4 or something like that, CTO as it would be. If you're using small flash, I recommend that you get like a 1/4 or a half sheet of CTO and just cut a bunch of them because you can stack them. So put them on and keep building it up until it's the right color. I like warm backgrounds, so for me, this looks pretty nice. But if you don't like that, now it's still sharp because, again, we tell our subject, hey man, I'm shooting with the slow shutter speed. One thing that I find, not to get into portraits, we'll do it in a portrait day another day. Communicate with your subject. If you need to shoot at a slow shutter speed, just let them know that. Be like, hey, listen, the shutter speed's a little bit slow, so we're going to try not to move too much, right?
Asking how you're actually metering the background.
Okay, so the way we meter the background is we kind of just, because I'm in Capture One, we kind of took a guess. But what you could do, the right way to do it, is to use the meter in the camera, right? Your camera has a light meter in it. You guys probably know that because when you put the camera on automatic or whatever, it makes an exposure, right? If you're in manual mode, there's usually like a little chart that goes up and down. As you adjust your shutter speed, it will show exposure. I would start off in the center, which is considering the correct exposure, and then you can adjust it to get it to taste. So that's how you would get the background exposure. And now we've got, you know, a mixed, oh, the light moved. Now we have a mixed lighting situation here, right? Nice and simple. And again, you could even make it a little nicer by adding this card in. These cards that Seth sells are always add to. Am I getting any of it? I'm not sure if I'm getting any of it. I am.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Okay.
I see it.
No, I wasn't getting any.
It is.
Okay.
It filled.
Got a little bit of fill. Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go. All right. Yeah. Okay. Little simple card, on-camera flash with a little tiny softbox. We're able to kind of take over our space. Remember, this space without the flash is that. Right. So here's our shot. No flash. Flash. Right. Make sense?
Asking what metering mode would you use in the camera?
Generally, when I'm metering, so when you question about metering mode online, I usually leave it on the center weighted or the matrix, depending on your system. You can go to spot metering if you want, if you find it's giving you issues. But I usually leave it on the most generic metering. Cameras are pretty amazing now with their metering systems, so I find that just works
On
pretty well.
spot.
We're on spot right now, but that's for the TTL
Yeah.
because she's against a bright background. For the store, you know, for the store you might not want to necessarily be on spot if you were using that meter because you can see there's some really bright things back there, like here. So if you weren't careful and you got on spot, you might end up getting a weird exposure. Yeah, you're trying to figure out where that light is, right? It's weird. It looks totally different when you're when it's out of focus. All right.
Well, I always do this.
Question. Yes.
When you were talking about using something as slow as a 15th
Yep.
shutter speed, but the flash is going to be going much faster than that.
Mhm.
What would be a standard theoretical speed that you would assume that a flash would freeze? So if the flash shutter shows
Okay.
how fast
This is a good question. Are we at that stage yet? Yeah, what the heck? Oh yeah, we're cranking. All right, so now I'm going to get a little bit into kind of the science of it because this is a good question and it's good timing. So there's something called flash duration, right? People have probably heard, hey, use a flash, it will stop the action, right? Well, the thing is your flash only fires for a very, very, very short amount of time, right? How long? It depends on your flash system. Speed lights tend to be pretty short. Usually the weaker the flash, the shorter the duration is, which is to your advantage. Shorter duration means, let's say this might be a 3,000th of a second is how long this flash is actually firing for, right? So at 3,000th of a second, right, even if she's jumping or something, I should be able to stop her, right? So that's fantastic. So how do we figure out a shutter speed? Well, what you need to do to ensure the flash will actually stop all the action is make sure none of the ambient light is affecting the shot. That's really the key. I could have, if I'm in a completely dark space, right, I could have somebody jumping in the air and do a 3-second exposure on my camera, but I only fire the flash one time, they will be completely frozen in the air, even on 3-second exposure, if none of the ambient light affects the shot. In this case, at a 15th, there is ambient light touching her, so there could be some blur. What I was trying to do is that, and this is where you just have to eyeball it, I was trying to get as little ambient as possible on the front of her face, so that if she moves a little bit, it might get a little blurry on the sides, but most of the front of her face will stay sharp. So that's kind of the goal with this. Ideally, you want her face to be black. I mean, in an ideal situation, her hair would be lit and there'd be black on her face. Then we'd have total control of her face not being blurry. But theoretically, you could go very slow. I find people have trouble holding still at more than like an 1/8 of a second. So I probably wouldn't go slower than that if you can avoid it. To be honest, if it wasn't a professional model, I probably would have stayed around to 60th and just went to like 400 ISO, you know, just to be safe. But you know, I like to stay at 100 ISO because then I forget it's on 400 ISO later and then I get confused. So yeah, just don't put it on auto ISO. One of the things to keep in mind here is that in order to use flash in mixed situations like this, whether we're eliminating all the light or mixing with the light, we want the camera itself usually to be in manual mode, right? The flash is automatic, right? Because the flash is in TTL, but we want the camera in manual because we don't want the camera making changes on us when we're trying to do things. So, but that's a good point. So we will actually use flash duration in a little bit because I'm going to maybe try to do a little bit of a splash and then we'll make a big mess and they'll yell at me, but that's all right, we'll do it at the end. Or maybe we'll have you throw your hair around. You can throw your hair around. Wasn't that like, didn't Will Smith's son have a song and it was like throw your hair around? Who knows? Yeah, okay, good. All right, I thought so. Yep. What's that? Whip it, yeah, or something. I don't know, yeah. That's it. You're the last person I would have thought that was going to know that.
Stuck in a lot of different music.
Okay, so yes, maybe we'll do a whip it. All right, so questions. Now, let's step it up a little bit, right? We've got the basic stuff down with the speed light. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want you to understand that it's basically the same thing, just in a different package when we go to studio type lights. Now, this is a ProPhoto B1, which is technically battery powered, so doesn't have to use it in the studio, I suppose, but it's what people might consider the form factor of it to be a studio light, right? It's powerful, it's big, you can put bigger modifiers on it, it recycles really fast. A lot of them run off AC power, so you can shoot all day long, you don't have to worry about batteries. This one is a battery powered light, so we're gonna use battery, but I have it in a Shimera 2 foot by 3 foot softbox, right? Now, we know our model's head is exactly one EasyBox 2 speed light in size. This is much larger, right? Larger light is going to be softer. It's also going to give you more coverage so we can get more of her body lit up, right? It's also probably going to have more spill onto the background. It's going to give us a lot more to work with. And the more powerful studio flash is going to allow us to use the larger boxes without a problem. So ProPhoto does have a TTL system, which is called, interestingly enough, ProPhoto TTL. And they have their remote here, but I didn't get the TTL remote because we're learning about flash, so I figured here. So this remote just fires the flash. We're going to go manual now, right? Because not every strobe system, studio strobe system has TTL. In fact, most of them don't. So we're going to go manual, and we're going to use a light meter. Now you could, and people do this, set up your studio strobe, get your model there, and just start taking pictures and looking at the shots until it looks right to you, and then be like, okay, it's set up. The advantage of having a light meter is speed, and also you don't have to it doesn't look very professional when your client's there to be messing around with your lights, right? So if you don't have a light meter, it's not in your budget or whatever, try to set stuff up before your client gets there. The last thing you want to do is shoot a bunch of crazy exposures to figure out your exposure. Yeah, that'd be nice. The meter basically is going to tell us, in this case, where the light's at, and then we're going to adjust the light's power to match what we want, right? Because we already know that we want f8, 100 ISO, 250th of a second, right? So we're going to plug into our light meter 100 ISO, 250th of a second, then we're going to fire our flash. The meter will tell us how much power is coming out of the flash. We will then adjust the power of the flash up and down to get us to f8. Does that make sense? There's times, like if you didn't care or your flash couldn't be adjusted, where you might just meter the flash and go, yeah, f16, and then just set your camera. You can do it that way as well. That's the other way to do it. Personally, this works better in most cases, so we want to work that way. We're pointing the flash at, the flash meter, I should say, at the softbox, by the way. There's a few different schools of thought on this. You can point it at the camera. What that will do is give you a little bit more of an overall exposure, which can be useful. Like, for instance, if I meter towards the box, and right, it's going to give me the exact amount of light hitting that side of her face, which is what we're exposing for. If I meter towards the camera, it's going to give us a mixture of that light and then the nothingness over here. So it's actually going to give us a different exposure. And if we expose this way, this highlight will almost certainly be blown out, but we will have some detail over here. If we meter towards the light, we might end up with shadows that are too dark. So you got to kind of play around with that of how you want to meter. We're going to use a fill card, so we'll take care of the shadow. Does that part make sense? Yeah, and it just comes down to getting used to using your meter. And again, just like the TTL gives you what it thinks is the correct exposure, the meter is going to do the same. So you'll get used to, after a while, how your meter operates. And sometimes you'll say, hey, you know, whenever I use this meter, I always like to, you know, set the camera on exposure, or maybe I like to set the camera a little bit brighter than the meter says, or darker based on your camera, right? Cool. All right, so we're going to do a test shot. Dave metered the light on the model, but he also metered the background to kind of see what the background was like. You can use that. Let's say we wanted the background to go dark. We could get the exposure on the model and then start metering the background and make sure it's at least a few stops under. That's one way to make sure you control your background. Nice. Okay. Dark background. We can see this kind of creamy light coming across her face, right? It's a little overexposed here. We could probably bring it down a smidge. Although there is detail there. And you can see like the larger light source is just, I'm just going to take a minute to appreciate Shamira. Man, that fabric is so nice. I mean, look at that skin tone. But anyways, you get this beautiful skin tone with a nice large box wrapping across. Yeah, this is the shallow, yep.
It's not pointed at her, it's pointed sort of at the edge of her.
Yes, good. See, we do this on purpose to probe the questions out. I appreciate your questions. This is good. That's right. We didn't point the box at her. And this is actually a very common question that I get from people all the time, especially with larger sources. I rarely point my box exactly at the model. If you point it exactly at her, it'll create something. But here we're doing what's called feathering. We're using the edge of the light. So it's wrapping around this way. So actually, when I go to bring my fill card in, I'm going to have a lot more to work with, right? Because I can bounce the light back from it. It also allows us to control this edge, where the edge of the light doesn't hit the background. So yeah, a lot of times you'll point your flash, especially when you're only using one, not exactly at the model's face, right? If we point it right at her, well, let's do this first, because I don't want to ruin Dave's setup.
Plus, it's also, this is your light source,
Yeah,
and its direction is.
yeah, it opens up, it spreads out. Yeah, if we
I'm
go,
pointing my arms at all of you.
yeah, I mean, if we go like this, I'll put it back. So if I go like this, sure, it'll be pointed at her more, but the edge now is like, it's hitting her here, and it's going to change the pattern on her face, right? So this gives us a little bit more of a wraparound, and again, more light to work with.
Inside the softbox bounces around, so it's coming out in every direction. It's not all just coming straight out of the box. It's like
Yeah,
coming out at all angles.
right, about 120 degrees. There we go. We also had to turn slightly towards the background. We've adjusted our exposure slightly. Now we can see, again, nice creamy light across. If you're feeling like this is a little bit dark here, on her shadow side, we can just bring our bounce card back in. Right, that should help fill up the shadows a little bit. There we go, easy as that. Right, and now we've got basically nice kind of soft light. You can see the shadows here, but it's filled in, right? A nice, soft, even light across, just like we did with the speed light. What we're getting as an advantage here is much, much larger light source because we have so much more power. Like this thing is set at 6.2, so it goes up to 10, so it's like, you know, it starts at 2, so it's about halfway up its power scale, so I've got a lot more power to work with. But at 6.2, it recycles really fast, right? So I could actually like, tell me peeps, it's ready, right? Much, much faster. If I was shooting in this large box with a speed light, I would not be able to shoot that fast. So this is why you might, you know, consider larger boxes, right? It's, larger, powerful strobes if you're doing this kind of work. Does that make sense? Cool. So I think we've eliminated all the ambient light, right? Let's kill the flash for a second. Let's make sure that we got a black frame again. And then we're gonna have her move. We'll do a little. No, that should be good. That's a black frame. So let me bring this over. Again, I'm gonna do just like I did before. I'm gonna drag this over. I'm in capture 1. Okay, I can start to see her around right there, which is about 2 stops-ish. So that tells me that I'm about 2 stops underexposed before I see any detail, not just 2 stops underexposed for proper exposure. That means we got plenty of room to bring our shadows up if we want. Now we're gonna have her move. Can you do it? She's been waiting all day for this. She's gonna move rapidly and we should be able to stop the action. Let's do something that's really gonna be obvious. What can you do that will be obvious? Can you throw things and catch them? Are you athletic? Okay, I'm not, so that's why I asked. All right. All right, pretty good. I definitely would have dropped that. So you're gonna throw it up and catch it.
Okay. We have like,
And have a good face the whole time? All right, good.
okay.
Yeah. And you should be happy. Why not, right? Wouldn't you be happy if you were throwing things? Okay. Okay. That was not what I expected. The light on your face is pretty. You have a hair dryer?
Yeah, do you want to blow air?
Oh yeah.
Let's do it.
Seth is gonna dry her hair while we do it. No extra charge.
Okay. I didn't. I thought I.
Uh-oh, what happened? Oh, there you go. You stopped it. Okay. All right. So it's frozen. I mean, it's out of focus, obviously, but as you can see that it's frozen. Now, if we were to expose for the ambient light in here, let's see what the ambient exposure is. If we just turn the flash off and just figure it out, like open up the shutter to get a. It's probably going to be something like an eighth of a second or a quarter of a second, and we could understand that.
So, I think
Yeah, let's just keep everything the same. So Dave's using the meter in the camera. 1 second is the ambient exposure, right? At f8 at 100 ISO. So go ahead and throw the thing up, and we'll take a picture. Yep. Okay. So, right? This is how. I mean, that's a little overexposed, but basically, 1 second is like crazy, right? It's super. Obviously, it's blurry. We don't have any control. The background is lit. We're just losing all the control that we have with the flash when we have to rely on the ambient light. Now we could do what's called. So we're getting advanced. We're getting there. We could mix them together. Let's go to like a half a second. Nice. It's purple too.
Yeah, I made sure to get like the ugliest thing I could find.
It doesn't. Hold on. Turn this camera on. I gotta see this. It looks like lips. It has little eyes on it. They did that on purpose. That's good design right there, right? Look at that, right? It was a little face. I'm drying your hair. And look. Come on.
Do I take good care of you?
You do take good care of me. Thanks, Seth. Do we have a longer cord, though? Actually, hold on. I got it over here. All right, so. Okay. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, though.
Wait, you want to do this part first? And not that?
We're going to do it together.
Oh.
I don't know. He gave me a hair dryer. I feel like I need to use it.
Okay.
Should I use it on myself?
I don't want to move her hair on.
Oh, what is it? What does the little snowflake do?
Keeps it cold so you don't melt her head off.
Nice. All right.
How do we do that?
Cool. I just air dry. All right, so let's do half a second, and we'll add the strobe in. Because now we're going to do essentially a pop and blur, as they would call it. The pop being the strobe, the blur being the ambient light. Versus a blur and pop, which would be rear curtain sync.
The same.
I think half a second this time. Let's do half a second, but yeah. This is not going to be a good photo. It's just to test the theory, and then we'll play around with it a little bit. Oh, it's not terrible, though. Okay, so, interestingly enough, right, so we have frozen, right, from the strobe, the frozen, and then we have the blur. That is really interesting. Okay, so let's try something.
Not the tape, but the strobe.
Yeah. And it froze the tape, right? So let's do this. Let's work the pop and blur. Oh. And it's blue. No, I don't know what happened there. Okay, so let's work this pop and blur. So you see what's happening? Once this fires, so look at this and give like a good face, and then after the flash goes off, just turn.
Okay.
Like this.
Still,
Nah. I think we can be done with that. Unless you like to throw the tape, just for fun. Yeah, we're gonna do like she's gonna look at the flash, she's gonna fire, then she's gonna turn away rapidly, and we'll get like a blur on that side. Right?
I don't know this technique.
You taught it to me.
I don't know this technique.
Back when I was a child, Seth taught me how to do this.
When you were a child, it wasn't.
Okay, hold on.
The world was black and white back then.
Oh, interesting. All right, so obviously not enough. We need more control over our light.
How take out the tungsten.
There we go.
Yeah.
You want both tungsten on?
No, I like that one though.
Yeah, so you want
Yeah.
to kill the Kinos? Yeah,
sure.
let's kill the Kinos. I'm going to point it. I'm going to point
Yeah, that's what I want. Now we're doing a specific technique.
It's a team effort.
There you go.
Okay. When the moment is right, fire this flash. All right, don't screw it up. Don't tell Dave. All right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right. All right, cool. So now we're getting a little funky. There we go. That's pretty. All right, so we want to set up a basic exposure. Actually, you know what would be cool? Now it would be cool to have the hair going.
Yeah.
But we'll just, one thing at a time. We got to get our basic exposure. Okay, that'll probably give us enough to work with.
Yeah.
So instead of just turning your face, go like that. Like, yeah, exactly. Like a nay-nay. So that's the nay-nay part of it, right? Yeah. Okay, you didn't fire the flash though. You didn't do it. You gotta do it. You gotta do it then.
Let me turn it up a little bit.
Yeah, it needs more power. More power. Okay, we're gonna balance out the power here.
Oh, you've got it in the background too.
Prima donna.
We should just set up the other. We could just set up the other area if we want to. If you really want to get into this kind of stuff, like, actually, Seth, when's you doing it again? Seth does a whole class on this.
No, this is good.
No, but you do. Well, you don't have one coming up.
What?
An entire class on this, no? Or did you already go?
I'm doing portrait speed lights now.
Ah, okay. No, he's not doing that.
When
Yes.
it flashes, just go and hold. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
like that.
All right, you got to get it at the end. Just once.
Manually fire.
Oh, you got to push the button. There you go. Yep. Oh.
Nice.
All right, that's a little creepy, but it's getting in the right direction. Let's try it again. Then you gotta, boom. You got it. I got faith in you. Nice. Oh, interesting. Cool. So we fired a second flash. Somebody in the audience just happened to have a flash. And we can actually see this is the blur nose, and then that's the flash nose. So actually, let's kill the ambient light. And then we're going to do the same thing, but with just two flashes. So fire, and then you're going to turn, and once she turns, you're going to shoot your flash, right? All right.
And potentially angle it more towards me a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to get the angle of the dangle. You may have been a little slow on the second flash.
Too slow.
Yeah. One more time without screwing it up. It's good to give positive feedback. We're getting a little bit lighter. There we go. That felt good. All right, so now we're getting our double exposure. Now, of course, it's growing out of her hair, which is kind of a little bit weird. So let's see if we can adjust for that. Can you pull your hair more like?
Yeah.
There we go.
Do you want it tight?
Not with tape. Yeah, that would be terrible. Yeah.
No, whatever you like.
Yes, tight.
Yeah.
Yep. She's been, no pressure. Nobody's watching. All right.
I want to kind of maybe flag it. Maybe you stand next to it.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Okay, I'm standing. Flag it from the lens you're saying or the background?
The background.
By the way, this is my life here. I just hold this thing. Hold it. All right, so I'm just flagging it off the background a little bit.
Here we go.
Yep. That felt good. Yeah, there we go. That's much better. All right, so now we're creating this like double face thing. I'm not sure why, but that's what we're doing. I mean,
Of course we can.
now I'll point out because this actually came up in the critique that when's the next one?
26.
So myself and Seth, we've done two now. We're starting a regular thing to do critiques. So if you guys are kind of growing your portfolio and you want to have us take a look at your work, you can submit it in and we'll talk about it. And there was one image, see if the guy's here, I don't think so. where it was like this, because he had obviously come to one of the classes and did a pop and blur technique and then submitted the picture. This is not, like it's interesting because we're learning a technique, but this is not the way to use this. What you want to do is master this by messing around and getting it to work, then find a reason why it makes sense for your picture. In and of itself, it's just two faces and who cares? Like, but in the right moment, this could be a really cool technique. And of course, you can also pop more than one time, right? We could actually, here, I'll do this one manually. So this time, start with your chin down and then bring it up.
Okay.
Yep, just slowly though. All right, and I'm gonna actually, Dave's gonna not, well actually you can fire it the first time, then I'll fire after.
Okay.
So once the flash fires, just bring your chin up slowly. Right? So I can pop it multiple times. So she's gonna overexpose obviously, but you can see that but you can see now that we've got multiple layers of her chin, right? Of course, in order to do this correctly, we gotta turn the power down. I don't know how many times I do it, 4 times? So in order to do this, I gotta bring it down 4 stops. What's that? Step back?
Well, that way she's not overexposing on top of herself, she's stepping
No,
forward.
he's just dropping the exposure.
We'll try it this way.
That's also,
Let's just try it and we'll see. You're right though, moving forward or back would also be a good,
yeah. And then chin down.
right? So I might have done it too many times. But okay, so then, but see, I turned the power down. So that way the combined exposure has to equal your right exposure. We'd have to do a little math to get it exactly right. And I think I did it too fast. But we can see that we're getting this like multiple eye thing going on here that could be cool. Can you do like big eyes? Yeah. Cool. And I think I'm gonna,
Maybe we go up a stop on.
yeah, I'm gonna go up the stop, 1 stop on the light. Perfect. Okay. Oh. I was watching this time to try to get, there we go. To try to get a better kind of positioning with the eyes. The first time I just did it without looking, but now you can see I actually watched her, right? So I made sure that the eyes were in different spots. Again, this is just a technique. This isn't a finished photo, but you get the idea that you can do kind of cool stuff just by messing around with the flash. And you can do this even with the speed light, right? This is kind of the power of it. We can do a lot of different things. In fact, speed lights have oftentimes built into them a mode that just automatically flashes it. So you can actually just have it go. Okay, questions? No? Do we have time to splash water? Am I gonna make a mess?
It's gonna make a mess.
Are you gonna care that I make a mess? You don't care. Seth does not care, we're doing it. So I think what I'm gonna do is I want you to take the cup and you're gonna go and make the water go up in the air.
Does she
Okay.
care about being
Yeah.
wet? That's too bad.
Well, her hand's gonna get wet, she doesn't care. Do you care if your hand gets wet? No, she doesn't care.
Chivalry and all that stuff.
She's tough, I can tell. Plus, we're live streaming, there's an audience here, she's not gonna say no. Okay, so let's get everything set. Again, now we're going back to the area where we're removing the ambient light. It might be easier for you to stand though, so that you don't get it on your legs. Yeah. So luckily, Christopher Knight gave me this cup holder, so we were able to hold this water all day. Think cold brewed. So we're gonna create like a little fun shot here, and then the guy who mops the floor is gonna hate me. And we're gonna do like a, and you're just gonna get the water to bathe up in the air. Yep. And Dave's only gonna get one chance to get this. So everybody's gonna have to like hold their breath. But before you do any of this type of stuff, especially here where we're gonna make a mess, is you want to plan ahead oh, look at you getting ready. Thank you. You want to plan ahead. I like to give it to me. We don't care about her. We want to plan ahead and get our exposure right. Again, we're going to go back to make sure we're getting a black frame, right? Which is 250th of a second, f8, 100 ISO. And again, it's not the 250th that's going to stop the action. It's the flash duration. The reason why it's 250 is just to get rid of all the ambient light. It could be anything. It depends on the space you're in. So we're going to get that black frame, then we're going to get the Pro Photo back in and get it set up with the proper exposure. Actually, I can just turn it back where it was. 6.2 it was. And we want to test everything first, because the worst thing in the world is to get the perfect splash and then have the exposure be off or whatever. So, well, it's probably not the worst thing in the world, but you know, it still feels bad. Okay. All right, so we got our black frame. Now let's do a shot with the Pro Photo to make sure we're getting good exposure. So you're going to be like, that's instructions. That's how you do that. This would be like for Nescafe. Nescafe, is that the one that used to fall back into the pool? Now I'm really dating myself, right? Do they not have Nescafe anymore? Everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy.
The Nestea plunge. Right? My second,
Nestea plunge, that's
my
it.
second wife was the first one to do that.
Really? Nice. Your second wife was the first one to do the Nestea plunge.
That one, yeah,
That's amazing.
that's how old I am.
Yeah, because they fall back. We don't have a pool. It's not in my budget this year. Maybe next year. Okay. Questions before we do this? Before we make a mess and then we get kicked out? No. Okay. You excited? Have you ever spilled a drink before in your entire life?
Well,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes, of course. So you know how to do this. Don't do it yet. Okay, good. We'll probably go wider.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We might even want to
Do
go.
you want me to kill the ambient signal?
Yeah. No. We don't need it. So Seth was asking if we need to kill the ambient. We already metered that we don't have to do it.
Should I fill?
Fill might be nice. What do you mean with that?
Double exposed.
Yeah, it'll double expose. I can't. Some flashes have what's called an optical sensor or optical slave in it, which will allow it to fire when another flash fires. This does not, so we can't use that as a fill. That'd probably be good. Maybe just we'll work towards the light a little bit. Yes, it does. That does. Oh, hold on.
Ruined my life.
It's blue again.
Yes, and then kind of looking, like turning the body.
This is it's all the build up for that 1 second. 1/250th of a second.
So you can really date yourself and mention the Maxell guy in the chair, which is RCA actually. The guy was like,
Oh, right.
that was RCA, not Maxell.
I thought it was a dog.
Oh, that might be.
I think RCA is a dog.
RCA is the dog in the microphone.
Yep.
Maxell was the guy in the chair that
It was the guy.
Yeah. Maxell is the guy in the chair.
he turned up the audio.
Maxell or Memorex?
And in Stay Tuned, it was something else.
XL2s.
It was,
So many commercials that we don't remember.
It was definitely Maxell.
That was a very good minute.
All right, ready?
That looks like good exposure, right? I mean, we're like
That looks pretty good.
we're not in the top quarter, so we're fine.
We'll go for it. What do we got to lose? A little bit of wet floor. We have a hair dryer.
We still slip.
Yeah, we gotta make sure we don't slip. I will say I'm wearing Converse, and they are the worst shoes in the world for grip.
So
It's like they designed these shoes so you would fall over.
let's
She's gonna be. Well, however you're gonna, you had to get a good splash out of it.
Okay.
Use gravity.
I'll wait for the right moment where it's like
Yeah.
maximum.
Yeah, Dave's gonna catch it. You have one chance in the world to get this. The important part is that you're excited, you're happy about it. You always have to be happy when you're spilling water. It's part of the thing. I'm not gonna look. I'm scared.
She's the host. It's just water. We can fill
Whoa! Wow! Wow! Sorry, you just soaked the audience. All right, she's fired. Did you get wet?
Oh, I'm fired too. No.
Whoa.
That was amazing.
I guess you just have to go straight
Let's just do it correct.
down, I guess, right?
Well, I didn't see it because I wasn't looking. So maybe I should have watched. That was pretty impressive. Okay. Come to Adorama. See people splash water. Can we get a refill?
What's that? Is that what?
Oh, yeah.
What's that? Is it more?
The cup.
It's just a cup. It's not. It's empty. Yeah. We could use a smaller cup. Okay. We're gonna need a mop.
Same thing, but not like this. Just maybe like
Like upward?
straight
Yeah,
up.
clean up.
Yeah.
Blue light special. All right.
I wasn't gonna waste a shot.
This is gonna be the live stream where you see me fall on my butt. I can already feel it.
Yes. There
Oh, here we go. Pass the drink forward. You're nervous. That's all you're gonna give her?
Just to make sure that he doesn't get the
Yeah,
water
I was
now.
Do you have an umbrella? Does anybody have an umbrella in the front row? Actually, this is like Gallagher, right? Is that what the Now I'm dating myself.
Hold on.
He smashes the watermelons, right?
What carrot head?
What? Carrot head?
Carrot top.
Carrot top?
Carrot top. What?
Nope, you missed it.
Gallagher would do this, right?
He smashed the
Watermelon.
watermelon. Carrot Top had like a chest full of weird things that he would make jokes about.
He just has a huge pectoral muscle. It's just like jacked. It's just like-
We didn't know it was going to go this way.
They're saying the stream needs more watermelons. We need
It does need watermelon. Oh, okay.
I went with 2.
Oh.
That's good.
Not bad.
There you go.
Oh, Dave, those out of focus. We can see though that it froze it. All right. Let's
And
see.
the other one, the one before it.
Hold on, I want to go there. There we go. Oh yeah, there you go.
Look at that.
It's like glass. It is out of focus though, so we might want to go more depth of field if we were going to mess around with it more.
Yeah.
But you can see that it completely froze the water. Your expression is priceless. Can you do it though, so it's here instead?
It's almost like
Yeah.
it's being poured into the cup, and you're
Yeah, it does.
precariously
Now,
like, oh no.
now, let's pre-focus on her hand because I'd rather have the water be sharp. I mean, you're beautiful and all that, but we care about the water.
So you're saying
You're just a prop.
We need more water, or you
More water. Yep. One more time. Come on, you didn't think I was going to stop at that. It does look like it's being poured in. Maybe we should just pour it in. That's not a bad idea, actually. Hold on, that's a good idea.
It'd be too smooth. I think.
No. We got it.
You can't pour it from up high. So
No, we're going to. All right, I need a pourer.
More?
Who wants to pour the water?
Somebody who can like.
No, you've been a trooper.
All right. Don't screw it up.
Are you guys paying me for this?
Nope, we're not paying you.
Paying you with knowledge. What, are you, what is wrong with you kids? I want it for free or get paid. That's all they care.
Okay, so what we're gonna do?
I'm just going to sit over here now. I don't know. I'm not sure what happened here, but I'm taking responsibility.
So you're gonna sit near the speaker.
You're like, I'm no longer at this event.
No, I'm feeling it. I think this is going to be good. I mean, once you've made the floor wet, that's the hardest part. Once you make the floor wet and that decision to do it, then that's it. You're just going for it.
I like the old heckler being mic'd and sitting.
My own heckler. Yeah, exactly.
Hold it a little bit closer to you.
Do you think they're going to screw it up? They got it, right? All right.
Still asking for wooden mallets and
Wooden mallets. That might be really close to her face.
Yeah, we should do a stop action, smashing watermelons.
Here's a test shot.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yep. Don't spill it on her face. Oh boy. I'm closing my eyes. Oh. Early spill.
One job.
That was probably a good shot right there.
Yeah. More. No, I gotta do it better.
Yeah, 'cause I need bigger pour.
Sam's a player.
Don't worry about it. If it spills, it's okay. Yeah, you can hit the floor. Yeah, there you go. Go. No, there we go. You don't look happy though. Hold on, you're not at all happy. What happened? Now we have to do it again because you're not happy. Okay, one more where you throw the water up in the air and you're happy. Don't drink it now. That'd be gross.
So let me see the motion where you're gonna go. So
All right, start filling up the balloons. You ready? No, if we throw a water balloon at her, that'll be the end
My
of it.
demo is a little weird.
no, then bring it back up. Oh, you were. Okay. Now I'm going to
Oh, is this all water?
No pressure. Oh, that felt pretty good.
Yeah, go on.
Nice. Okay. Good enough. Good job. Thank you.
Now it's kind of like an ice cream cone.
All right, so guys, that's pretty awesome,
Beautiful.
right? That's like a snake. Okay, so you see now the power of the flash, right? at 2/50th of a second, you would not stop the water like this by itself, but the flash is tremendously faster than that, and we're getting this like beautiful, crisp, clean light across, giving us that. Actually, it's totally fake. We put a piece of ice in there when you weren't looking. No. So hopefully you got a good range of stuff here at the Flash. Next week we are doing lighting with the $100 kit. So if you're looking to buy something, you're on a smaller budget, or you just want to see what can be done with less expensive stuff, because we oftentimes use more expensive stuff. This is not $100, I can tell you that right now. We're going to play around and do something with less expensive lights to get you guys a feel for that. If you can't come, we do stream it at noon on YouTube, so check that out. On the 5th, which is next Sunday, Monday? Tuesday. After you guys party and stuff for Labor Day, on the 5th, Seth is doing a speed lights. No?
Just a live Q&A.
Oh, a live. Oh, this is the one where people ask Seth a lot of questions, and he's going to answer them while shooting the pictures. So you ask him, "Hey, Seth, man, how'd you do this?" He's going to shoot the picture to show you how to do it, and that's going to be super fun. And then, so that's on the 5th, and mine's on the 7th, which is the 2 days after. So come to both. You don't need to work. Just come and spend all your time in Adorama. Buy a lot of equipment. Get in debt. That's the way to live. Okay, so thanks for coming, guys. I will see you next week.